Hi students, today we're going to study about the thermal effects of current and CR circuits. You see, when you connect a battery to a resistance and when you keep the circuit going for a long time, the resistance gets heated up. This is called the thermal effect of current. There are also many other interesting thermal effects of current that we are going to study in this chapter. Also, up till now we haven't discussed what happens, when we connect a resistor and a capacitor together in one circuit. So, what current flows? Does current flow through the capacitor? We'll study about that too when we discuss CR circuits, that is capacitance resistance circuits. So let's begin this interesting chapter. Thermal effects of current and CR circuits. First of all, we'll study about Joule heating. You see, it has been observed that when current is passed through a circuit containing a resistance and a battery, the resistance gets heated up. Now, why do you think the resistance gets heated up? If you assume that the potential difference across the resistor is the same as the potential difference across the battery, that is, it is V. In that case, when a charge Q passes through the resistor, the work done in moving the charge Q across the resistance is Q into V. That is so because the potential difference across the resistance is V, and we know that the work done in moving a charge through a potential difference V is QV. So the net work done by the battery in moving a charge from one end of the resistor to the other end of the resistor is Q into V. Now, the work that is done by the battery in moving the charge from one end to the other is actually dissipated as heat in the resistor, and that is what causes heat energy to be produced in the resistor. Understood? So basically the battery is doing work in moving the charge from one end of the resistor to the other, and this energy is being converted into heat. So you can say that the heat generated in the resistor is actually V into Q. Now if this charge Q takes time t to pass through the resistor, in that case the heat generated per second will clearly be Vq divided by T, isn't it? Because Vq is the net heat generated, so the heat generated per second will be Vq divided by T. But Q by T is electric current, isn't it? After all, electric current is the net charge flowing through an area per second, that is Q by T. So we can say that the net power dissipated in a resistor is actually equal to Vq by T equal to Vi. Now you must remember this formula because it's very important. The net power dissipated in a resistance is Vi. Vi can also be written as I square R, isn't it? After all, we already know that V is equal to I into R, isn't it? And therefore, we can write Vi as I into R, that is I square R, isn't it? We can also represent the power dissipated by the expression V square divided by R. That's because I can be written as V by R, isn't it? And so Vi can actually be written as V into V by R equal to V square by R. Here we go. So there, you see that the power dissipated can be represented as Vi or I square R or V square by R. This whole effect of a resistance getting heated up when a current is passed through it is called Joule heating. Joule heating is something you must have studied in class 10th too, but we are going to apply it in a slightly advanced way for IIT JEE. Let's move on and solve an IIT JEE problem right away. Here, this question was asked in IIT JEE in 1978. Now 1978 is long ago, but the problem is still relevant for today's IIT JEE exam pattern. So we will look at it. A heater is designed to operate with a power of 1000 watt in a 100 volt line. It is connected in combination with the resistance of 10 ohm and a resistance R to a 100 volt mains as shown in the figure. What will be the value of R so that the heater operates with a power of 62.5 watt? Let us first see what is actually happening in this question. What does the statement of the question mean? Basically, we are given this heater. This heater is connected to a 100 volts voltage source. There's a 10 ohm resistance between the heater and the voltage source, and there's a resistance capital R connected in parallel with the heater. Now it is given that when the heater is connected only to a 100 volts voltage source, that is, if there was this heater here like this, and if it was directly connected to a 100 volts voltage source, in that case it is given that the power dissipated in the heater is 1000 watts. We have to find out the value of resistance R such that the power dissipated in the heater is 62.5 watts. Understood? So if only a 100 volts battery was connected to the heater, the power dissipated by the heater was 1000 watts. We have to find out, how this circuit must be. That is, what value of resistance R must be connected in parallel with the heater so that the power dissipated in the heater becomes 62.5 watts. Well, let's first make use of the fact that the capacity of the heater, the maximum power that can be dissipated in the heater when a 100 volts battery is connected, is 1000 watts. You see, clearly the power consumed by the heater is V square by R, where RH is the resistance in the heater, isn't it? And V is the potential difference across the heater. Now V is clearly 100 volts because it is given that the power is 1000 watts when the voltage across the heater is 100 volts. That gives us the value of the resistance inside the heater, RH. This resistance comes out to be 10 ohms. So now we can say that the net resistance offered by the heater to the flow of electric current is 10 ohms. Now we are also given, finally, in this particular circuit, the heater dissipates a power 62.5 watts. But 62.5 watts is IH square into 10, isn't it? After all, if the power is 62.5 watts and the current passing through the heater is IH, then clearly 62.5 will be IH square into RH, that is IH square into 10. That gives us the value of the current flowing inside the heater right now. So right now in this circuit, a current of 2.5 amperes is flowing through the heater. Similarly, we can determine the potential difference across the heater. You see, 62.5 watts is also equal to V square by R, where VH is the potential difference across the heater and RH is the resistance across the heater. Now RH is known, the power is known, so we can find the value of VH, the net potential difference across the heater. Now using all these values, we can construct an equation to determine the value of capital R, the resistance that is in parallel with the heater. You see, we know that the net current in this circuit is clearly 100 divided by 10 plus 10R divided by 10 plus R, isn't it? That is because the net current, this one, say I, is clearly equal to 100 divided by R equivalent, that is the total resistance in the circuit, isn't it? Now R equivalent is clearly 10 plus the equivalent resistance of the heater and this resistance R. The resistance of the heater is 10 ohm and this resistance has R ohms. Therefore, the equivalent resistance here will be 10R divided by 10 plus R. So basically this is the total current in the circuit. Now this total current in the circuit is equal to the current flowing through the heater, which is 2.5 amperes, and the current flowing through the resistance R, which is say I1. Now the current flowing through the resistance R I1 is clearly equal to VH divided by R, isn't it? That's because the potential difference across the heater is the same as the potential difference across this resistance capital R. Now the potential difference across the heater is 25 volts. So you can say that the net current passing through the resistance capital R is 25 divided by R. What that tells us is that this expression for the net current passing, out of the battery of 100 volts is the same as 2.5, the current through the heater, plus 25 by R, the current through the resistance capital R. Here we have an equation with only one variable, capital R. When we simplify this equation, we get the value of R as 5 ohms. And that is our final answer to this IIT JEE problem. So a resistance of R equal to 5 ohms must be connected in parallel with this heater so that a power 62.5 watts gets dissipated in the heater. Understood? So all this IIT JEE problem really involved was the application of Ohm's law and the application of the formula power is V square by R equal to I square R equal to Vi. To further get a grasp over the heating effects of current, let's solve yet another IIT JEE problem. This IIT JEE problem was asked in 2002. A 100 watt bulb B1 and two 60 watt bulbs B2 and B3 are connected to a 250 volt source. Now W1, W2 and W3 are the output powers of bulbs B1, B2 and B3. Then W1 greater than W2 equal to W3, W1 greater than W2 greater than W3, W1 less than W2 equal to W3, or W1 less than W2 less than W3. So, what is happening in this problem? So well, in this question we are given 3 bulbs B1, B2 and B3. Bulb B1 has a wattage 100 watts. Bulb B2 is a 60 watt bulb and bulb B3 is also a 60 watt bulb. We have to calculate the ratio of the net power dissipated in each bulb. So if bulb B1 consumes a power W1, if B2 consumes a power W2 and B3 consumes a power W3, we have to find a relationship between W1, W2 and W3. Now, when you look at this question, you might say, isn't it obvious? You see, the bulb B1 consumes 100 watts of power, the bulb B2 consumes 60 watts of power, and the bulb B3 consumes 60 watts of power. So isn't it obvious that the power consumed by B1 is greater than B2 and this power consumed by B2 is the same as the power consumed by B3? Well, not really. This is because the power values that are mentioned do not represent the actual power consumed by the bulbs. You see, the power values mentioned represent the power consumed by the bulb when a standard voltage V is applied across the bulb. Understood? So if you take B1, and you apply a standard voltage V across it, that is the case when it will consume 100 watts. If you apply the same voltage V to B2, then again it will consume 60 watts. And if you apply the same voltage to B3, the voltage V, then B3 will also consume 60 watts. So the point is that in this case, the net potential difference across each bulb is not the same. It is not necessarily V either. So we have to individually calculate the power consumed by each bulb. What we will do, however, is make use of this standard value of power for each bulb to calculate the resistance of each bulb. I know this sounds confusing, so let's proceed with solving the problem. As I just said, the power rating for a bulb is at a standard voltage. So a 60 watt bulb is not always a 60 watt bulb. It could be a 100 watt bulb or a 200 watt bulb depending on the voltage. Now let's assume that the standard voltage at which these wattages are mentioned is V. Let's assume that the resistance across bulb B1 is R1, across bulb B2 is R2 and across bulb B3 it is R3. In that case we can say that 100 is V square by R1, where V is the standard voltage across which the bulb consumes 100 watts. In that case we can also say that 60 is V square by R2, and we can again say 60 is V square by R3 for the bulb B3, isn't it? Now if we carefully calculate the values of R1, R2 and R3 from these equations, we get R1 is V square by 100, R2 is V square by 60, R3 is V square by 60. So these are the resistance values of each of these 3 bulbs. Now we can use these 3 resistance values to calculate the net power dissipated across each bulb. Let's consider B1 first. Now the net power dissipated across the bulb B1 is clearly I square R1 if I is the current passing through B1. Now what is the current passing through B1? The current passing through B1 will be 250, the net potential difference, divided by R1 plus R2, isn't it? if this is R1 and this is R2. And therefore, the net power consumed by B1 will be the current square into R1. That is I square into R1. So that is what I have written here. This is the value of W1, the power consumed by the bulb B1. Similarly, the value of W2, the power consumed by the bulb B2, will be this expression. As you can see, the current passing through the bulb B2 will be the same as the current passing through the bulb B1. That is 250 divided by R1 plus R2. We can similarly calculate the power consumed by the bulb B3. The power consumed by the bulb B3 will clearly be 250 square divided by R3. That is because the net potential difference across the bulb B3 is given to be 250 volts, isn't it? And the net resistance of B3 is R3. So clearly V square by R3, that is 250 square by R3, will be the net power consumed by the B3 bulb. So we have the value of power consumed by B1, power consumed by B2 and power consumed by B3. Now we can substitute the values of R1, R2 and R3 in all of these expressions, isn't it? After all, R1 is V square by 100, R2 is V square by 60 and R3 is V square by 60. When we substitute these values, we get W1 is to W2 is to W3 as 15 is to 25 is to 64. What that means is that the ratio W2 to W1 is 25 by 15 and W3 by W2 is 64 by 25. And now that we've determined this, we can go and take a look at the options. These were the options given in the IIT JEE problem. Clearly, W1 is less than W2 less than W3. So A is wrong, B is wrong, C is wrong and option D is correct. So did you see? All that we applied here was again the power formula, P equal to VI equal to I square R equal to V square by R and Ohm's law. That's it. Now let's move on to the next concept, Seebeck effect.